What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Bogey Proof. You got myself, Matt, and Mike tonight. Little throwback episode to a few months ago when Joey and Eric were, grinding away at the golf course and those dog days of summer working, 60, 70-hour weeks. Shout out to our guys. Me and Mike had to do a lot of episodes together. So a little throwback tonight, just me and Mike hopping on and talking a little Hero World Challenge, a little Christmas, a little holiday stuff. Lots of good stuff to talk through, but first and foremost, Mikey, where are we coming from? What are we sipping on?
Yeah, coming to you from Ann Arbor, Michigan, wrapping up my first semester here, the fall semester at the university, and just powering through kind of the last couple assignments, last couple weeks of work, and excited for a little Christmas vacation of sorts that I haven't had in 3+ years of working full time. So excited to kind of get away from the college town, get home a little bit, enjoy that little Christmas vacation, drinking a little Sauvignon Blanc,
Classy.
Monique Cellars, a 2020 edition of the Central Coast.
Very nice.
So, very crisp, actually. Haven't had wine in a while. Not what you would consider a summer wine by any means, but sometimes you just got to go back to the well, find something you like and sip on it. What about you, Matthew?
Absolutely. Well, I got a little something extra tonight, we'll call it. It's not my usual go-to, but I got a Woodford Reserve, but the double oaked version. Spotted it last night maybe last week in the liquor store downstairs. Shout out to my guy. And I was like, you know what? Never had it before. Looks a little fancier, looks a little different. Let's try something new, and pleasantly surprised. So far, so good. It's definitely there's a little bit of a more flavor to it than most whiskeys. Like there's a little extra kind of feng shui going on as you sip it, but still smooth as it goes down. So far, so good. Can't complain.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not the biggest oak fan in general, so I'm gonna have to try it. So, I think when it's a little more subtle in a whiskey type of thing, I enjoy it more than when it's like the front note of a Chardonnay or something. So interested to try that. I know we're going to get a little bit into Christmas gifts and kind of things for the booze lovers in your life a little bit later, but I was at Costco yesterday, and then I'd be remiss to not, disclose this to our listeners, but Costco has upped their booze game.
Yeah.
They had a whole table of the good stuff out there. And I'm not saying the $100 bottles. I'm just saying the tried and true good stuff, like 750s of Four Roses small batch.
Ooh,
and
favorite.
Handles of Woodford Reserve.
Handles?
Like wide, full on handles. So they're usually good. They're good for the basics usually.
Yeah.
But just stuff that I would buy at a normal liquor store and a little bit less. Like the small batch was I think it was $34, which is pretty good for. It's right in the range of what you would
usually
get.
37, 38, depending on where you're at. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's
the Woodford handle
staple.
was a little
that's
a little
much
pricey.
That
was 70, but
yeah, but I don't even think I've ever seen that. That how long would that last? That's insane. Unless you have, you're having an event at your house pretty much. I can't imagine how long that much Woodford Reserve lasts, because it's not like you're making Woodfords and you're not mixing that, right? You're not making cocktails with it. You're just sipping on it. So it's that's quite the bottle. But
maybe
shout out Costco.
Maybe a Kentucky Derby party or something.
Oh God, yeah.
Or you're having a tasting or something like that, and I don't know. You know how at weddings sometimes they you take a shot to your seat or something.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a reason to have it, but yeah, it's
just so much
aggressive.
work. You never see the good stuff in the full handle size. Most whiskeys don't come that big. For a reason. You only do that with Tito, because you're mixing that shit and whatever. And if you're having people over, you can go through a handle of Tito's because you're mixing it with soda and grapefruit juice and whatever, it's lemonade, whatever it may be. it's tough to just pound like a handle of Woodford. Like it's intimidating, honestly. But
Yeah, and that shit's like that's dark. Like
yeah,
it's a real clear bottle, and it's like that's dark liquor. That
yeah.
is, it's not like a lighter color bourbon by any
Oh,
means. It's not a weeded bourbon like a Maker's or something
yeah.
that's like got a little more, you can just see the lightness in it. Woodford's got a nice, dark hue to it. But
Yeah, it's
yeah,
pretty
let's
dark, and I got a cube in it. Look at that. For the people on YouTube, this side ice cube, other side no cube. Look how dark that is. Granted, it's the oak version, so maybe throw an asterisk on that, but it's dark.
yeah. Hero World Challenge this weekend, out in the Bahamas. Pleasantly surprised with the field. I think it's kind of been on the news the last month or so that we were going to get ourselves a pretty good field, and I don't
Yeah,
think it disappointed. Really only 20 guys in the field.
yeah, 20 or 22, something like that. But yeah,
I think anytime you got Jordan Spieth finishing in last place, um, you know that shows kind of the caliber of overall player that's there.
yep.
He had his own issues here this week, but kind of takeaways from the week on the golf course. Let's start with that. Let's avoid the media stuff a little bit first, then we'll chat about that.
Fair enough. On the golf course, first and foremost, want to give a shout out to that golf course. I think in years past, the conditions haven't been all that difficult, whether it's wind or whatever it may be. Maybe it gets too soft. I don't know. But this week, especially Sunday, obviously, and we'll get into Sunday a little bit more as we talk talk through like the individual players coming up here. But it was fun to watch. Like it was just carnage combined with eagle putts all over the place. It was like very much like if you hit the proper golf shot, like you can take it deep there. You can make a shit ton of birdies, eagles, it's all out there. But like if you get a little squirrely and like put yourself on a weird spot, tight lie, short side yourself, like you got to do something special with your hands to like hit the proper shot, as evidenced on Colin Morikawa's front nine on Sunday with like the chips and the chunks, and Sam Burns doing the same thing. Like how often do you see a guy like Sam Burns taking a 3-wood out green side, like in the fringe, like things like that, you know, kind of like you're getting at. I mean, this isn't a full field event by any means, but it's got all the big guys. It's Tiger's event. So when Tiger calls you and says, "Hey, come play in my tournament," you're going to play, right? I don't care who you are, but you're going to go play. So it's just, it's nice to see the course kind of fight back from it being too much of like kind of a hit and giggle, as Tiger likes to call them, as it may have been in past years where it's just like a birdie barrage and like see how low you can take it kind of deal. So shout out the golf course overall. Thought that was really cool, and making these players really look like we do when we play Bermuda grass and like that grainy shit around the greens. Like I remember my first time on like spring break, or the first time I played Florida golf, and it all depends on the course, but like there's some courses that would be that grainy ass Bermuda, and you get around the green, you're like, oh no, there's no rough here. How can it be hard to chip? And all of a sudden you get like a chip into the grain that you're trying to hit uphill, and you hit it like a foot in front of you, or you double hit it, or like you hit it and it rolls back behind you. Cause it's like that stuff just grabs your club if you don't come at it with like a purpose and like really rip through it and like hit it. You have no room for error on it. And you could see that obviously evident with Morikawa's chip, that they showed a million times because he was the leader. And then a guy like Sam Burns electing not to chip and, using a 3-wood. And then even Victor Hovland ended up winning. Like the chip he hit on 18 was a little sketchy. Like that was not far away from going like 2 feet in front of him and having to do it again. He got it on the green and, ended up 2-putting and was fine, but that was by no means as easy as it would have been on a different turf with like how much green he had to work with and being in the fairway and things of that nature. So those are my initial thoughts before even getting into players. But like, who, I guess, besides Victor Hovland winning, but like who kind of got your attention this week or had some performance issues, whether good or bad, that you want to get through?
Yeah. I'm impressed by Brooks Koepka. I think he looks really fit and like just ready to play good golf. He looks healthy. He looks really strong, which I think is kind of a dangerous place for him to be, because I think he's been a little fragile the last couple of years.
Knee, the hips, everything else.
Yeah, and just and like his MO is just being so mentally and like physically tough.
Yeah.
And kind of just being able to like deal with difficult conditions and kind of whatever throws at him. He's fun. He's fun to watch. I think first time he teed it up. I don't know if he had the full Strixon bag when he was playing in the match. But seeing him play the full Strixon bag, that was nice. Justin Rose, we don't see him a whole lot anymore. I think he really struggled last year. Saw a couple little pieces of him. Hendrik Stenson was hanging around, finished like 19th though at the end of the day.
Yeah,
But
Benson.
he's kind of a shell of what he used to be. But nice to see him out there playing. I don't know. I really think the young guys, Sam Burns, just watching him like swing a golf club is pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's good. It's very good these days.
He creates a ton of speed. It looks like every iron he hits is just like flagged. I think like most kind of modern players that generate that much speed, it's going to be, can he rein in that wedge game a little bit because sometimes he just like throws it 30 feet over and
he tries to rip it back.
And he generates so much spin that he's kind of playing that. So, I think he's probably got to take a little bit of a page out of Justin Thomas or Dustin Johnson's book on really how they came on the scene as these big power players and they had some success. But like when JT came on the scene, it was like, oh, this little guy that pumps it, right?
Yeah.
Now, like, I don't even think of him as a power player.
No, right? I think it, like, especially with the wedges, right? I think and I always go back to like reading Tiger's book. He talked about how when he came on, he had to do the same thing in the early 2000s. And once he did that, obviously he had the best stretch of golf ever played. But being able to accelerate through the ball at different speeds with your wedges and be able to hit, like, knock the spin off of one and not just be like, all right, 110 yards, full lob wedge and rip it, like be able to hit a gap wedge or pitching wedge or something like that from those numbers. And I'm sure, back against the wall, he can hit those shots if he needs to. He just doesn't do them enough or is not comfortable with it enough yet to kind of use it as a weapon. It's more there as like an in case where, like you said, Justin Thomas is a perfect example. Like when you watch him hit full wedges or even wedges at all, you have no idea like how hard he goes at it because they all look the same and he can hit the same club like in a 30-yard window and be aggressive with it at all different numbers. But it's like, and DJ did that too, right? I think 5 years ago, wherever it was, he went back, he started hitting a fade and he dialed in his wedge game with the TrackMan. It's like well documented, again, working with Butch and just being like, I need to be able to call my numbers in the air with this club if it's going to be as good as I need it to be the world number one. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's not on Sam Burns' radar yet, but I think his talent elsewhere in the game is like at a place where he should be winning or at least contending. I think like he had a solid year last year, kind of his breakout year, racking up top 10s. He got his win, things of that nature. I think in order for him to take that next step forward and do it with a little bit more consistency and, just clean it up a little bit to kind of go from that, I don't know, what's he, probably 20 something in the world to like top 15 in the world. I think it's something as simple as that. Is just like, hey, hit a gap wedge from 90 yards. Like, just figure out a way to strike it still and like without taking a half a swing and ripping all the spin on it. Like things like that I think, again, JT is an awesome example. Like his wedge game inside 130 yards is just so pretty to watch. It's just so much tempo and smooth. It's incredible.
Yeah, he's actually up to 13th in the world. Moved up 5 spots. A lot of points at the Hero World Challenge just for showing up this week.
Well, if he wants to get to top 10, we'll make that the line. Then.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's a realistic over under for him at the end of next year is probably pretty close to where he sits.
Yeah.
I think 13 and a half, 14 and a half, anything better than that, that's overachieving probably. Mm-hmm. And anything below that, he's probably had
fell off somewhere. Yeah.
Fell off a little bit. I think that would be a fun exercise, putting some over under numbers on some of these people come next year. I mean,
world rankings, wins, all that fun stuff. We should definitely do that for an episode. Fuck around.
That could be fun. Kind of moving on to someone who has a similar game to To you know, to Sam Burns was the winner this week, Victor Hovland. Um, just a ball striker who, you know, it's tough to watch sometimes. It's still tough to watch for the short game sometimes, but he plays the game in a similar way, I would say. Fun to watch him ball strike it. Ton of fun to watch him drive the golf ball. I think we can take a page out of his book a little bit and say, you don't need to you don't need to have a perfect golf swing or like a perfectly aimed golf swing. Like all those things are really important, but he kind of shows you that like a natural move can be very successful. And I think we've talked about it on the podcast before that he just has like a really athletic, really natural move. So a lot of fun to watch and, fun to see him get it done. Really just like good guy who, I don't know, he does a good job with the media. He doesn't take himself too seriously.
I think that's the biggest thing right there. He just looks like he's just having fun out there. He doesn't he makes fun of himself at times, and I think that's really like something that makes you relatable with people. And you're like I think after he won in Puerto Rico, the first time he was like, I just really suck at chipping, but the rest of this golf thing, I think I got figured out. Like something like that it gives the media, listeners, fans, whatever, like it just shows them a little bit of like a human aspect versus just getting like a cookie cutter, like, oh, I'd like to thank all my sponsors and my team. And, it's like, we don't want to hear that, like I get it. You have to say those things, those guys, those sponsors and people pay you a shit ton of money, but it's nice to have a guy like him. It just seems like he's just having so much fun out there and just being that relatable every once in a while. You'd be like, hey, I suck at this. I suck at that. Like he's obviously like pretty unique smile and he kind of gets like the very squinty eyes and like people have asked about in the past. I think in a press conference, he like quoted Stephen A. Smith and was like, lay off the weed, like shit like that just makes him like a fun guy that you want to root for. And it's just, I love seeing him play. And like you said, his golf game is serious, like ball striking machine. If he just could clean it up with like the kind of inside 50 yards with the wedges and things of that nature, I think could really take a massive step forward and just kind of clean up a shot or two around or whatever it may be, maybe a shot or two a week at that point. He's so good already. Because I think this win leapfrogs Rory in the official world rankings. He's like the second ranked European.
Yeah. So he is second ranked European. He's seventh in the world. Rory's ninth. Couple other interesting little anecdotes here from the world golf rankings. I have it open. At the end of 2020, the top 10 in the world, 8 of them are still in the top 10 in the world. So we talk about all this like turbulation and movement at the top of the game. And yeah, a ton of people can win and a ton of people can be, top 10 in the world, but that's a lot of people to still be in the, there's been a little bit of movement, obviously. Right. And guys like Patrick Cantlay have moved up from 9 to 4, but the only people that are not in the top 10 from last year, Webb Simpson is down at 27th in the world. And then Tyrrell Hatton is 22nd. And really the only reason he was 10th last year was because he won twice at the end of last year.
At the end of the year, yeah. And one of them was like the BMW over in Europe, which is like one of their bigger events of the year.
Yeah, and
like
then he won in like Dubai or something like that. So like he won 2 at the end of the year. That kind of just like threw him way to the top. I think at one point he was like maybe like 7th in the world or something like that.
Yeah, he had a good stretch last year for sure. And it just goes to show you though that like it's a pretty solid system, because I know we talk a lot about the turbulation at the top of the game, but like the guys that are good, their floors are so high that like DJ probably would be considered to have kind of an off year this year. Like he finished still like probably top 10 in FedEx Cup, and like he just didn't win as many times.
He's 3rd in the world.
Yeah. So like he was 1 last year and he was on the top of the world, and he's a little quieter. He goes under the radar whether he's doing good or bad, but like he didn't have a great year to his standards, I'm sure. And 3rd in the world, like his floor is like, I had a shit ton of top 10s. I just didn't win 4 times like I usually do or whatever, so just goes to show how good that top 10 grouping is. And you got to really kind of fall off or really like Terrell did, like go crazy at one point during the year and rack up a few wins in a row to kind of climb that rankings. But it's interesting to kind of take a look at that, because as much as we talk about who's the new guy and this and that, it's like It's the same thing, guys, usually every year.
Yeah, and golf's in a good spot. So, right, like the I'm looking a little bit further down. Matt Wolf, 31st in the world. Will Zalatoris, 32nd. Taylor Gooch, 33. Max Homa, 34. Like that's a little
It's a little fire squad right
that's
there.
a little fire squad right above them. Joaquin Neiman, 30. Like
Yeah,
that's 5 guys in a row that someone multiple times last year. Taylor Gooch got his first win, but like
those are guys that tee it
I
up
mean
and think
that
they're
could,
going to win every week. Like
like
that's the level
yeah.
they're at. They're not just out there. They're not the Kevin Kisner type where they're out there working hard, trying to do their best, but winning isn't necessarily their goal every week, every course. Those 4 guys you named, they tee it up trying to win. Like Taylor Gooch, we've been hearing about him a lot leading up to this year, and then he snags one of these fall events, and kind of has his first win under his belt now. And now from what I'm hearing, like from like just looking on social media and stuff like that, the interviews they do with some of his buddies, like Max Homa and things of that nature, like they're all saying like, yo, this guy's been kicking my ass. Like when we play together, not in tournaments for like a year now, like it was just a matter of time before he kind of figured it out, like, under the gun on, in the PGA Tour setting, whatever you want to call it. Like once he gets that, like he's going to be like a stud for, as long as his game stays in the form that it's been after last year. So expecting big things out of him.
Yeah, and like right, Will Zalatoris, comes on the scene real hard, right, and like then struggles a little bit, but like he was number 2 in greens and regulation on the PGA Tour last year.
Pretty good.
Not a lot of rookies go out there and do it. He's got to figure out the putter a little bit. We saw some cringy strokes with him at some point. Matt Wolf, I don't know his level of consistency, but if you don't think he's
trending better now,
if you don't think he's going to have 3 weeks next year that
he's in the mix,
to win and probably gets one of them done, I think you're probably discounting his ability a little bit because he can shoot 60 anywhere he tees it up.
Yeah, he can get it going.
So yeah, I mean, it's going to be fun to watch. I mean, you and I watch so much PGA Tour golf as it is. So, but it's always fun to kind of look at the world golf rankings and see kind of who's fallen and who's kind of moved up the leaderboard. It's a little bit surprising, but I agree. It's a strong barometer for how people are playing. But moving on, we will not talk Tiburon. I know QB shootout this week. Friend of the program, Jason Hattie, connections to Tiburon. So we will definitely get some Tiburon content out on the Instagram and some stuff here this week from some personal experience out there on the course from you, Mr. Fontaine. But Let's move into a holiday season, the merriest of seasons. Some of the nicest of times.
Absolutely.
In the calendar.
Usually not working. Usually, bundled it, like usually hunkered down somewhere. It's usually, if you're in New England, snowing out, cold out, maybe a little bit of both, whatever, gross out. Usually hunkered in, watching classic Christmas movies, eating, desserts, eating just like comfort food. It's the best time of year. Usually drinking whiskey, or just like some good, like hearty beers. It's that time of year,
Yeah, it's like the only time that you're allowed to drink whiskey before noon.
And like have whiskey with cookies, like you get the Christmas cookies going as you're having your late night whiskey.
Yeah, and then like throw some booze and some hot chocolate. Like you can do whatever you want. But what is on? I'm gonna ask you just what's on your Christmas list golf wise this year? Maybe for yourself, or if there's one or two things that you're looking out for the golfers, in your life. What are you thinking about?
I'm thinking for, the staple, the standard, whatever the go-to, whether, I'm receiving or if I need to get something for somebody and I'm like kind of last second, can't think of anything too creative. And I go with like a golf theme thing, like a dozen balls of like what that player actually plays more often than not. Like I know like what my dad plays and know what my uncle plays and know what like a lot of my good buddies play. So it's like, when in doubt, you can never go wrong with a dozen balls of like, solid, Pro Vs or your TP5s or your Bridgestones or your Callaway Chrome Softs, whatever they may be. That's a staple. Like, cannot go wrong with that. If you're trying to get something really special and like different, not too basic, there's always like, depending on the person you're buying this for, like you can get them one of those like click gear push carts, or you can go with like, I know rangefinders can be expensive, but if you look now, like there's so many different levels of it now. You can get like one that doesn't like vibrate and do 25 million different things. Like you can get the basic one where you look through it and you shoot a number for probably $100, 125, 150 at the most. Yeah. So like things like that, I think are something that, you're always like, they're essential, right? As a golfer. Like I played one round at the end of the year this year without my rangefinder because my batteries died and I was lost out there. Like I haven't played around without it in probably 7 years, since like maybe like high school golf, right? Or Jesus, almost 10 years now. But like it's been so long since I had to do that. I was just completely lost out there. I was like guessing, like trying to walk off numbers, all this stuff, and like looking, all right, the 150 sticks up over there, I don't know, 10 15 yards, like, and that just like got me so uncomfortable that I was like, Jesus Christ. I went to Walgreens right after and bought like 6 baggers and just left them in my golf bag. But things like that can never go wrong. And then honestly, like gloves too, like is again, that's kind of weird to know you're, if you don't know the person well enough, or if you don't play golf with them a ton, you might not know like their glove size or whatever, because it's kind of weird with golf.
Glove size is important though.
It is important though. It's got to fit right, but like you can never have enough of those. I have, I think, 6 in my trunk like right now, and at any given time, it's like never gets under 5. You can never have enough gloves. Never have enough golf balls. And honestly, if you're trying to be special, I think like the push cart or a rangefinder is like a really cool gift that you like. You don't want to buy, you never buy those for yourself, so it's like, it's nice to kind of get that as a gift. But those are my golf gift kind of baselines I usually go with this time of year.
Yeah, I'm on board with you on that stuff. Golf gloves. I've been known when I used to play a lot of golf to just get like a box of gloves, which would come with like 8 to 10 of them. So I would get that at the beginning of the year, and that would kind of be the present to myself. And, I don't need to worry about having a nice new glove for a tournament, or for, when that glove was cash, just moving on to the next. So I like that. Underrated, a couple things that are, not 100% golf specific, but it's nice to have like a good like sunscreen in my bag. I think sometimes you get those like real shitty ones, and it's they like blow oily up in your bag. They blow up and they're like oily as hell. Next thing you know, my hands are a little like oily and I'm trying to hit a golf shot. Like Neutrogena, like they have like those face sticks and stuff. Like that's a good option. Maybe like a
good stocking stuffer.
Like, like something simple like that. Also too, like it's not 100% like along that skin idea. Like you get out there in the cold, next thing you know, your face is like ripped up. If you're like out there playing in the cold, get them some like hydro boost, get them some like, I don't know, just make sure that once that person's off the golf course, they're feeling good, they're feeling comfy. You don't want that bad attitude from the golf course to affect the home life.
You don't want that to come home.
Yeah, you don't want that to come home. And the best present of all is allow your golfing friend, significant other, to play golf. Don't give them don't hassle.
The greatest gift of all. Just let me play golf. That's all it comes down to.
Yeah. So like, look at that smile on Mr. Fontaine's face. Like that's what you want.
Play golf.
So just let them be. Don't question. Maybe say you want to play golf with them. So
that always works too.
Yeah.
The more the merrier.
So just thinking about that. Let's move on to food, and then we'll talk booze, because booze is probably the most exciting. But any little any kind of like food or kitchen items that you want. I know you're kind of like the last couple of years you've been getting into, chefing up in the kitchen, doing some good stuff like that, hosting some people. What do you need in your kitchen right now? Or like, what does Allie need? What do you got to do to make sure that you're making a nice meal at home?
So last year my thing was a crock pot, because like it came down to like sometimes you just like, especially in the winter, or like maybe in the fall, whatever. I want to make chili. I want to make, I don't know what, like things that are just easier in the crock pot, and like I don't need to use 17 pots and pans for. I just kind of use one and then throw it all in the crock pot and like leave it for 6 hours. Good crock pot, can't go wrong. Air fryers are hot in the streets.
Mm-hmm.
Those are solid. Can those are, that's a nice little weapon to have in the kitchen.
Yep. Yep.
And then, depending if, I mean, a lot of people have these already, but like a nice charcuterie board, nice and cheap on Amazon these days. If anybody's, interested, they can come up. They got like a lot.
That was on my list.
Hell yeah. You got a nice one of those. You can get like custom ones now. They come with like an initial on them, or you can write a name. You get all the, the cheese knife and all these different things that come right on the board. Fantastic. No more just like using the cutting board as a charcuterie board, got to class it up. But outside of that, I mean, honestly, the best thing like food wise in this time of year, it's like such an awesome, like they do a bunch of great deals and things like that too, is like Omaha Steaks does like these bundles and like holiday packages and shit like that, where you can get a like 15 different pieces of meat spread across steaks, burgers, chicken, whatever, for like $110, and you get like 15. They're like, they ship them right to your house. They're, freezer dried, whatever you want to call them. Or was that the dry ice they put them in? Yeah. Awesome. They're frozen, whatever. You put them in the freezer and you have just like, boom, you have steaks ready to roll. And it's like, you get so much food. They usually throw in like 8 burgers, 4 steaks, 4 pieces of chicken, and like desserts and like potatoes and things like that. It's like all in there and things like that. Like this time of year, like you don't want to go to the grocery store when it's freezing. You don't like, it's just something different. It's something that I always look out for this time of year, because they put such ridiculous deals out there come to like holiday season, and it's just like a nice way to fill the freezer with something different. I mean, you're not going to be going and buying like bacon wrapped fillets, like unless you're at a restaurant, right? Like things like that they have in those packages. It's like, I never eat that, like unless I'm at like some crazy steak house, like I'm not making that myself, so it's just something different that you can kind of incorporate in your kind of holiday food season after you get through the Christmas Day leftovers. It's nice to kind of have something in the freezer ready for you that next week and not have to go grocery shopping again. But how about you? What is your food related items?
So you stole my custom charcuterie board. Hand up, I have done the charcuterie board like on a normal cutting board. And it works fine.
Oh, I've done it too.
But I want to impress myself a little bit more in 2022. And that's going to be moving on from a normal cutting board that I bought at Target, and getting myself a charcuterie board. Really just when people come over the apartment, making sure that they are catered to and they have a tremendous experience. That's what we're all about here with, hospitality.
Exactly. All you need is one person to be like, wow, that's an awesome charcuterie board. Where'd you get that? And boom, the whole night is made. It's all worth it. Whatever you paid for it on Amazon immediately is a write-off. You're good to go.
Yeah. So that's definitely one. I think.
How about we do like similar to what we did for Thanksgiving last couple episodes ago? Do like, what's your favorite food to eat on Christmas if it's not like on your gift list or something like that?
Yeah.
And then we'll go to the booth.
We're a ham and roast type of family on Christmas. The Downs family does an elegant brunch of sorts. So we're just crushing it with the staples: nicely, softly scrambled eggs, home fries. Just pop those potatoes in the convection oven, a little salt, pepper, garlic powder, just like the good stuff. Christmas kuchen, little bread with some frosting on it. That's good stuff. And then go over the Metcalf side for dinner. And we're having ham, we're having roast, we're having some good potatoes, keeping it simple, maybe drinking some Irish whiskey, a little scotch, something
never go wrong
on the back end of the day. So that's kind of my portfolio of Christmas goodies, I would say. And then it's like kind of like bark, like
Yeah.
coffee bark sort of deal.
Yes. Oh
That
yes, I know
stuff.
what you're talking about.
My Aunt Mary, shout out to Aunt Mary. She crushes that. So she does a great job. What about you? Favorite stuff on Christmas before we move to booze?
We do beef tenderloin and ham, and then we do like I said, potatoes, some asparagus, the basic veggies, the good stuff's nice and simple. And then the desserts we get a bark. We do like those classic, I don't know what the actual name is for them, but like the peanut butter cookies with the Hershey's Kiss on top, staple every Christmas, Christmas Eve too. And then my grandma makes some sugar cookies, some like pretzels with a little Hershey's Kiss on. Like we go in on the desserts. We focus on the desserts on Christmas. It's holidays.
Yeah.
It's right before your New Year's resolution starts. Like, let's get the sugar up. Let's get the cookies going. Like, get them in while we can. But
Yeah, the food, like the normal food, is just an appetizer for the dessert.
It's to fill you up so you don't eat, 17 assorted cookies. Keep you in the single digits by having a meal before.
Yeah, but booze. We'll move on to the fun stuff.
Yes.
I know we're running a little bit behind here, but this is unique to Chicago. And my friend Jamie, friend of the program, Jamie Mayer, she sent me a link. They are doing a giveaway. It's not a giveaway, but it's like an opportunity to buy a Pappy Van Winkle bottle of bourbon.
Oh.
So Jewel Osco is a staple here in the Chicagoland area. Kind of your very like middle of the road, but like they do everything well. Booze. They have like a lot of their places have a second floor strictly for booze. So they know what they're doing. But they sent out a link, opportunity to buy a nice bottle of Pappy. Winner is chosen on the 16th. So pretty much everyone in the friend group, everybody,
gotta enter.
Entering. It's probably going to be a couple grand, probably, or like $500. I don't know what it's going to look like. I can't remember the year off the top of my head. But it's one of those situations of like, even if you don't want it, someone in your friend group probably does.
Somebody will. Yeah.
So you'll buy it, and then collect the fee on the back end. We're talking about doing a tasting if we can get it. So that would be a lot of fun. And in order to do a proper tasting comes my first gift. Nice glassware.
Yes.
I think
very important.
I have like a very sketchy array of glasses, and like they're fine, but I don't feel confident when I bring them out.
You gotta have. So I think that's like the biggest thing that, again, like you talk about, as we're kind of getting a little older here, we're like hosting sometimes, like people are at our house every once in a while, we're just bouncing around from house to house or whatever. Like having, your 4 or 5 basic standard glasses for like water, mixed drinks, etc. But then, especially, we talk a lot about whiskey on this show. Like you got to have like 4 or 5 really clean, simple, solid like whiskey / rocks glasses that you can just like, if somebody comes over or you have a few people over and you want to just like have a whiskey and like, especially in the holidays, you're meeting up with people, whatever it is, like you want to be confident with the glasses you're putting out there. It's a great gift. Like
confidence is key. Yeah.
I got I think 2 Christmases ago I got a case, it was like a package deal or whatever, and check your local liquor stores, a lot of them do this. Like it was like a $750 or $375 a Crown with like 2 awesome like rocks glasses, right? You see a little Crown logo on there, kind of. There you go. But like these are like my favorite glasses. It's the perfect whiskey glass. It's a short, wide glass. I can fit a nice big ice cube in it and whatever. But I only have like 3 of these, so it's like I have a few of them, but it's like you can never go wrong with a good whiskey glass as like a gift. I think those are a no-brainer if and again, if they don't do whiskey, there's other glasses that are important too, like, mixed drink ones or really fancy, get like champagne flutes, whatever. But like glassware is a key to your cocktails. See, we're not drinking out of solo cups anymore. There's a time and place for that, but it's not the norm anymore.
Yeah. So, and I think kind of going along with that, you talk a little bit about whiskey there. I think if you're into whiskey, getting one of those, getting the ice molds that create some fancy shapes,
Yep.
or even if you're going all in, one of those like ice shapers that like presses down.
Oh yeah.
Those are freaking cool.
I've seen a few of those on TikTok and shit. I'm like, whoa. But like then you look at them, it's like $400. Like, oh, never mind.
Yeah. So like if you got a little extra, little change.
But they're probably on sale now. I was going through a TikTok link, so it's definitely bringing you the expensive ones. But yeah, those are really cool. I think those, and they even make like plastic molds where you can get them. Like I have ones that like make a golf ball out of the ice. Like they have like a cap that goes on, so it makes a ball, it makes whatever, and they look like little golf balls with dimples and everything. Good. Anything that goes with whiskey, glasses, cocktails, whatever, can never go wrong. And like to transition that into like the actual booze itself, outside of just buying a bottle of whatever, I mean, obviously, like we could go through all the top whiskeys that we've obviously probably talked through on this show when we talk about what we're sipping on, but they do a lot. I think they're at Costco too, and they may seem a little weird and you got to know the person you're getting it for, but like I know some like whiskeys put out kind of like these like variety packs this time of year where it's like not a nip but not a 750, it's like the 375, like the flask size ones where they'll put like 3 of them in there, and it's like for Jack Daniels they do like gentleman, single barrel, and like one other one or something like that, so it's like not just the basic version of that said whiskey. So like let's the person, if you know that they like that, like here, try a few of these, maybe you find something different without having to buy a full bottle. It's like you give them a little sampler, and those are always kind of fun to get just to mix it up too. That's I appreciate getting one of those every once in a while just to, reset the palate and see kind of what's out there. So I kind of break my routine of the same 2 or 3 bottles I usually stick to.
Yeah, quick plug for my boy Duvall, owner of BJ Liquors, Holyoke, Massachusetts. They have a tremendous section, tons of craft beers, tons of booze. If you are looking for something special, hop into BJ Liquors, or ask for Duvall and say, hey, this is what I want, and he will get it for you. That man pulls strings. Like 2-3 years ago, you could not get a Treehouse unless you went to the actual brewery itself.
Yep.
And I remember texting him one time saying, hey, I'm home. It's like right after I moved to Chicago. And he's like, hey, come through. And he gave me a 6-pack of Treehouse and like a glass and stuff, and was like, welcome back. Like he just like, the guy just like has some connections. He's got like all the shitty stuff. He's got the high end stuff, everything in between. You find yourself in Western Mass, you find yourself in Holyoke, getting into a little bit of trouble. BJ Liquors, Canal Street, right before you go over the bridge to South Hadley. Shout out Joe C, South Hadley crew. There's a lot of degenerates in that area. They are good stuff. Duvall's a great guy, great friend. So shout out to him, and just wanted to plug him a little bit. But before
tell him Bogey Proof sent you.
Yeah, tell him Bogey Proof sent you. He will know. He will. We don't text, but he sends me. We text via Snapchat.
Okay, a little Snapchat chat.
Yeah, a little Snapchat chat. Back to the middle school days kind of deal. But before Fontaine, start thinking of a couple more. My last 2, for those novice, people that are just trying to get into, some fancy cocktails, maybe the kids that just turned 21 or they're leaving college, first apartment in the city. A cocktail book or a cocktail kit, I think, is a fun way to go about it. A lot of corporate kind of gifts are kind of moving in that direction of, sending you all the things that it takes to make a gift or to make a cocktail, and giving you the steps. So I think that's a lot of fun. If you're creative, custom cocktail book, put down some of your favorite stuff, stuff that really, you like to make, and make that custom. That could be a nice little personal touch.
I like that.
Cocktail for if you got a little extra cash in your pocket, again, like the fancy ice shapers, cocktail smoker. Making a little smoked old fashioned at the apartment. that is a party killer. You will be the star of the show if
I mean,
you know how to smoke a cocktail.
that is stepping your game up quite a bit. If you bust out the smoker and all of a sudden you're like, try this one. Like everybody's eyes are on you immediately.
Yeah, I mean,
like
you could live in a shithole. You bring out the smoker, you're high class.
Yeah, absolutely, exactly, high class. I love the cocktail setup too. I think I got one of those either last Christmas or as like a move-in gift, maybe when we moved in here. But I use it all the time, whether it's like just simply the bottle opener or the shaker glass with like the fancy top you put on it and stuff like that. Like I'm using that thing all the time. And it's not like I don't carry like a can opener on my keychain anymore. It's not college where I need like the bottle pop every time. So I like to have the nice, the formal, got to crack open a Sam, whatever. Got to use one. Yeah. See, I don't have that anymore. I think mine fell off, and I was just, you know what? I don't need to put that on.
Well,
I don't
the
need
thing
that
is,
anymore.
I don't drive a ton, I'm at school because I really just like walk to class, walk to work. And my apartment is like a keypad thing.
Oh, there you
I
go.
like don't carry keys around ever anymore, but this Reverb, one of my old clients here in Chicago, gave me one of these things. It was actually to pop the cap off a Topo Chico water, but that probably happened twice, and then it's been used strictly for
booze.
beer.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. All right. Last couple booze related gifts, things I like in the holidays. Obviously wine. Wine's a big thing in the holidays. Can never go wrong with and probably similar to like your cocktail book. Maybe if they're seriously into wine, or if they're just trying to get into wine, like they have like beginner's wine books and things of that nature. Like that's a pretty cool gift that will, like, if you're somebody like myself, and we did a wine episode many episodes ago now, but something like that, like I wouldn't hate getting a little beginner's wine book and like doing a little reading so I actually understand what I'm doing, and like because I've kind of nailed down my regions and things that I like, but like just to get a little insight into like why I like that and what's there, what flavor tones it really is, because like I'm not at the level where I whiffed it around, take a sip, I'm like hints of whatever, like I don't know, I just like it tastes good. But whether like something like that, or I think they usually do, like some liquor stores will have like baskets and shit too, where they put like a bunch of different wines in there, like things like that can never go wrong.
Couple goodies in there too.
Yeah, exactly.
Thoughts? I think this would be fun. I think the listeners would really love it. A wine dinner pairing from each of the Bogey Proof staff.
Ooh.
Like put out a recipe and a guide, like a recipe, not only with the ingredients, but with your steps, right? With a personal dish that you like and a wine pairing.
I like that.
I think that could be a little holiday season cheer from, from your family here at the Bogey Proof to each of our listeners. Say, hey, try a meal that we enjoy, and a bottle of wine, and we'll give a couple options for brands and regions and things like that. That really would go well.
Absolutely, I like that. That'll be fun. I'm gonna get creative with that one, I think.
Yeah,
Eric's probably gonna be like, what the fuck are you pairing this stuff with? But I'm going for it. Eric knows his shit, man. He's on it with the wine. I'm still a novice.
Yeah, but it's tasty. And at the end of the day, if it's tasty, no one's complaining.
Yeah, it'll be a good wine. It just might not pair beautifully with whatever the hell I'm cooking up, but we'll get there. It's a journey.
Yeah, for sure. But any last one-off thing that you really need for this Christmas season, or maybe give us a little insight into what you're getting for the fam. You got anything exciting?
Well,
or you don't have to disclose if it's for someone who listens to the podcast. But
no, it's honestly, this year has been, I had a little fun with it. I tried to be like creative and not just get the same kind of rotation of things I get every few years for my fam. So I try to get some different shit. They might not even like it, but I was just trying to get a little creative with it and just do something different that I haven't bought them in years past. So looking forward to it. I did a little. my mom's gonna be surprised to hear this, but I did a little actual human, like in-person shopping. Never do that. I'm usually just Amazon guy, and if it's not on Amazon, I didn't want it that bad, so you move on.
You
But
didn't
I
use
went,
the online, the internet?
no, I literally went into a store and walked around for a little bit. It was Marshall's, so I
Was
was,
this was this in like the time period where you weren't working? We got a
yeah,
little extra free
exactly.
time?
Yeah. Yeah. I had
Yeah.
to get out of the house a little bit. I was like, you know what? I got nothing else to do. And if I don't go do something, I'm going to literally sit on this couch and watch 8 episodes in a row of Breaking Bad. So I was like, we'll go pop into Marshall's. I got to get, a couple different Christmas gifts for people
Yeah,
here. Let's see what
nice.
goes on. But yeah, how about yourself? Anything special or?
Nothing special. I think, everyone in the fans got a little something Michigan coming their way just to celebrate, finishing this first semester. And, obviously people aren't talking about the impact I've made on Michigan football this year.
I was gonna say, I mean, we've talked about the Tom Brady effect before. I think when we talked about the Super Bowl last year,
Yeah.
guy goes there and Tampa Bay wins back-to-back cups. They win.
Mhm.
The Rays were in the World Series. Might have the Metcalf effect out in Ann Arbor. I mean, Michigan football on the rise. Michigan basketball is pretty solid too. I don't know how great they are this year,
they're
but
struggling a little bit. Michigan field hockey almost won the ship. We got a lot of
their hockey's very good.
Hockey's like number one in the country.
Yep.
I think it's more because of me, not because they had 4 of the top first 5 picks in the NHL draft. But
no,
the
Metcalf effect.
Yeah, so people
put it on a t-shirt.
Yeah, people aren't talking about it quite enough. But they'll be. It's more of like a history thing, like back, maybe 10, 15 years down the line when they look back on, they do a study on the correlation of the people
2022 stretch.
Yeah, like the people living in the area and like the research going on and just like the impact to the community. It's pretty clear who it boils down to. So been a lot of fun being here in Ann Arbor for a fun little stretch, and looking forward to being here in the spring and through the summer. I am just, side note, and I don't want to get too off track, but I am jazzed to play some Michigan summer golf next year. There is so many good golf courses in Michigan.
Yeah. It looks pure out there.
There is so many good golf courses. I'm going to get aggressive and I'm going to drive 3-4 hours to play a couple places that are just,
do it.
Because when I'm not living here, it's a flight and then it's a difficult drive. Right. So
right.
I've canceled one of the pieces out of it.
Right. Take advantage of one less step.
Yeah. So I think that's on the radar. Senior PGAs in Michigan this year. I'll pop over there here in May, I think, and see what the senior guys are up to. Bernhard Langer, like 92, winning the senior PGA probably this year. There's just some good stuff going on here. Excited to play some golf. I don't want to chat about warm weather because it's 4 or 5 months away, but excited to play some golf in some warm weather here in Michigan. But Absolutely. Mr. Fontaine, always good seeing you. Always good chatting. We got a couple of fun ones here to finish out 2021. A couple episodes in the reserves that are going to debut on Spotify and on other streaming platforms. So for all our listeners out there, if you feel you've got, kind of gypped, not getting stuff on kind of the easy podcast platforms, we are here to save you. We are going to reverse engineer some of those previous videos. We're going to put them on streaming platforms. We got more merchandise coming. We got so many good things coming. What are you looking forward to in 2022, Mr. Fontaine?
Honestly, I'm looking forward to, now that we have a little over a year under our belt with this, like kind of perfecting.
Happy anniversary. Actually.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah, I think it's like maybe a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to kind of, perfecting this, all different platforms, right? Getting this podcast as good as it can be, continuing to grow the Instagram and getting, a lot of different and fun stuff out there. And like you said, the merch thing has been awesome. The support we got with the hats was honestly surprising and like amazing. We appreciate all you guys that reached out and grabbed the hat that when we came out with those. And like you said, we have more merch in the pipeline here. So as that comes in, I'm excited to see kind of how that works and just give people what they want. I have a really fun time doing this and get all these different platforms the best they can be in 2022, and just kind of step our game up a little bit, a little more organized approach, just more consistent stuff. And, just give the listeners a little bit of a fun thing to listen to while they're working, commuting, whatever they're doing on the golf course, whatever, something fun to listen to, talk a little golf, talk a little booze, a little bit of life along the way, and have fun with it.
Yeah, for sure. It's been a fun journey last year. I think about us kind of just doing this on the fly, getting the blog set up, getting the Instagram, getting the Twitter, us going on an Ireland trip, documenting kind of our perils of weekend warrior golf, competitive golf, the things we like to do outside of the golf course and outside of what we do 9 to 5. Been a lot of fun, I think. Thankful to be chatting with you guys a little more than we have the last few years.
Absolutely.
That's been a lot of fun, right? Like, make an effort to go see each other now a little bit, more than we did before. So a lot of good stuff. Looking forward to 2022, but we got to finish 2021 off strong. Some final videos, some final podcasts. Let us know, listeners out there, whatever platform you guys are listening on, what you want to hear. Send us your swing videos, something we haven't done in a little bit. Send us, any questions that you guys have about the game of golf, or, what it takes to be a little bit better out there. We are happy to provide our insight. What do you want us to buy? What merch are you guys looking for? I think we got a good idea and a good pulse of our listeners, but it's always growing, right? We had a couple hundred followers, 6 months ago, and now we're well over 500, and thinking that, hey, trajectory brings us to 1,000 at some point here in the near future too. So I think we're growing outside our kind of our comfort zone too, which is exciting as well.
Absolutely.
But
always a pleasure, Michael. Cheers.
All right, see ya. Cheers. I'm gonna finish this bottle of wine.